Hello, welcome back. Today's going to be a little bit different. Working on a project here, trying to finish up a computer. As you know, computers make your life easier. Anyway, we're going to be recovering an item from one of the vehicles today. And why am I doing this? Well, we're still waiting on funding, donations, and all of this stuff to get these vehicles covered and preserve these relics for future generations. However, the weather's starting to rain, and it's not so nice out today. So what I've been doing is recovering pieces that are historically or educationally significant, one tiny piece at a time. And that way we can tell the story, educate, and we don't lose them. And the hopes eventuality is that we'll be able to save everything at the same time. But you got to take baby steps. So what are we doing today? We're going to be working with Robert Landsburg's car, actually. And you probably know Robert Landsburg as the gentleman that took the 4 photos that were on the west side of Mount St. Helens. And he was driving a 1969 Dodge Coronet 500 that was completely destroyed by the eruption. He was the closest person to get photos of the eruption, 4.5 miles away, kind of to the southwest. What we're going to be doing today is actually getting a side mirror off of the car. And when we get out there and look at the side mirror, you'll see what I mean as far as telling a story as to what happened with the vehicle. Unfortunately, the vehicle's destroyed on its roof. It's out in the weather. Everything is broken off of it. And this side mirror is just lying in the dirt. And eventuality is that it'll be lost forever. So come with me. Let's go get this part and see if we can't save another little piece of history. So we're walking through the shop here. We've got to go get some supplies. Got my collection box staged right here. And we're going to go into the museum. Okay, so what are we going to need here? Let's see. We got our container. We're going to need gloves. We're going to need something to kneel on. It's pretty wet outside. See, there's always one more thing, right? I think we're good. Okay. Well, let's go, right? Another lovely day out here. It's actually very, very light rain right now. It's supposed to get worse this afternoon. All right, so this is the vehicle that we're talking about, 1969 Dodge Coronet 500 station wagon. Unfortunately, we just have the front of it. The piece in question today, little side mirror sitting right over here. We'll take a look at this closer. Let me put my belongings down here. Got our collection container, and we have a nice little piece of wood to kneel on and some gloves. Okay, so let's take a look at what we've got here. We're going to have to put on some gloves with this. Make sure that we're not going to damage anything. When I'm outside working on items like this, I tend to use these gloves because they have some grip on them, and they'll also keep any of the oil, any of the bad stuff off of your hands. And let's see what we got going on. Okay, so we have this little mirror here. We're going to clear all this stuff out of here. And this little side mirror is connected with some cables here. One of them is broken, so we're going to leave that the way it is. And then these right here, unfortunately, we're going to have to cut. And my thought is that where they're rusted right here is probably where I'm going to cut them. Now, in the future, this doesn't need to be put back because it's not overly important for the overall presentation. But if we turn this over on the back of it, so this mirror was torn off. You can see it's broken right here from the force of this vehicle being rolled by the eruption. But the piece or the features that's very interesting on this is on the back here, these pockmarks are actually made from rock moving at very high speeds, estimated in excess of 400 miles per hour at that distance from Mount St. Helens. And it actually took chunks out of the metal and put holes in it. And this is what we want to preserve, because when we have classes, geology classes and so forth that come here, it's one of the things we talk about is the force of this pyroclastic surge. And you can see it's bent here. So this is going to be pretty simple recovery. Pretty straightforward. We have our container over here, which we're not going to open yet because of the rain, until we get this. And I always hate doing this, but sometimes you have to do it. So here's one. And two. And I don't think there's anything else here that is attached. Now, rather than taking it, moving around and doing all this stuff, I like to just kind of look at it. We're going to make sure that this plastic stays here. We're going to take this like this. We're going to open this container and we'll carefully lay this in. Okay, so we'll put this over here. And that is a successful recovery on a very small item. So we'll take this inside now. It's got to be dried. We're going to get a brush. We're going to clean everything off of it and make sure that there's no dirt and debris and so forth on it, and get that prepped. So let's go back inside before we get rained on here. Another sunny, beautiful day in the Pacific Northwest. We are open today. It's been pretty quiet. Hello, hello.
Hi.
How's it going today? Here, I have a cool piece to show you. So let me put this over here. Wow. Okay. So this is the side mirror off of Mr. Landsburg's car.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, I didn't want to have to take it off, but the weather and the conditions are destroying it. Mm. So we're going to go prep this now.
Have fun.
Always. Okay, so this here is kind of our makeshift prep room. A bunch of fun things back here. And we're going to put this down and let's see what we've got now. Okay, so here we are at our little prep station here. I have some gloves. I got a brush here that we're going to use to do a little bit of preliminary cleaning. And these gloves right here I use for when we initially get an item and the items are dirty. I like to use these gloves because it keeps my fingers away from the item, but at the same time, I don't have to worry about destroying a nice pair of gloves for items. Now, people watching are probably wondering why all the precaution with the gloves and so forth when it's been sitting outside for 40 plus years. Well, that's absolutely true, but one of the things we want to do is we want to stop the decomposition and damage. Now, I can't do anything about 44 years, but I can do something about the next 44 years. So let's see what we've got here. We're going to carefully take this out, take a look and see what kind of condition and debris and so forth. This is probably going to have to dry a little bit, and then I'll use a kind of a secret solution, and we'll clean off a lot of this dirt and debris and so forth off of this. I like to use cardboard because it's completely non-reactive. A little bit of padding. All right. So let's see what we got here. We have a whole bunch of stuff here. Now, all this chrome that's sticking up here, we don't want to mess with that. So we're going to carefully do this. It may flake off. So this is the part of item prep that generally we don't get to see. Now, these things right here are super awesome. I got this at Michael's, and it's just a regular little paintbrush. It comes as a little kit. And what's cool about them is they have brushes that are somewhat stiff, and you can use them to take stuff off. I also use tweezers to take items off. In this particular case, I'm just going to kind of brush things. Ooh, there was tape on that. So like here, we can push these all out because it's all stuck inside of the chrome. A lot of debris inside of this. Now, the debris and the dirt that's in this is really nothing to do with the volcano. This is actually from lying on a property for 43 years. I'm going to go with the two-handed motion here. Is it me or does this stuff have that kind of Bob Ross painting kind of feel to it? So we found some happy little pine needles living on this, and we're going to relocate them and give them a new home. It's actually quite relaxing work. Yeah, some of these I'm going to have to go and get the tweezers. That way I can grab this stuff, get it out. Like this right here, very delicate, although it's actually firmer than I thought it would be. Not going to be able to do much today, and the reason being is that the mirror itself is very cold, and it's creating condensation as it's sitting here. I like to come in and kind of get the main stuff off. We're going to have to get a tweezer for that one. And then let it dry out. Okay, so we're going to we're going to carefully turn this over. So obviously we don't want to touch on this side here. We got a whole bunch of little pieces of grass sticking out of here. We don't want to touch over here because there's pieces of chrome sticking out, and I don't want to break those off. So we're just going to literally, where we're at right now on this particular piece, going to leave it. And it's quite interesting if you look at these. So here's an impact mark right here, one right here, one here, this one here, and over here and here. You can see how this was actually broken off. Up close, it's actually far more impressive. This is a pretty robust mirror. And then this piece of gasket in between is it's actually distorted and melted. I'm going to turn this over a little bit here on the inside and see where it was broken off and the glass is gone on it. So this is literally going to have to sit now for about probably 12 hours or so before we can really do anything constructive with this. Lots of little pieces. What's impressive is it's actually warming up pretty quick in here. It's probably about 70 degrees inside of this shop. This right here, all of this stuff here will probably, as it dries, turn into a powder. And then, like I said, I have kind of a secret solution that I use to clean these surfaces. And what we'll do is put it on it, and you have to kind of do a swirl and a wipe and a clean. And Q-tips are your best friend with some of this stuff. Sometimes they're a little bit hairy because things like this that are sharp or have edges on them. Ooh, that's a good one right there. It'll actually stick to the metal. Yeah, see, this is already, it's already starting to come off. So really the idea behind this is how much restoration can you really do? It's a damaged mirror from a volcanic eruption. But one of the ideas is to get all of the original, or excuse me, the after eruption dirt, this black dirt off of it. Now, if there was volcanic ash, and if I come across here and there's volcanic ash embedded in here, something like that, we're going to leave that. That's part of the story. You're not even going to mess with that. But this black topsoil from sitting outside in the lawn on the property that we recovered this from, this really has nothing to do with the eruption. One could argue it has something to do with the story, but we're here to tell the story about the eruption itself. And we do go over what happened after the fact. Oh, that's coming off nice right there. Okay, so we're going to keep working on this as we go along here. Kind of a fun little piece to get out. And another piece that tells Mr. Landsburg's story. For those watching, if you get a chance, look up Robert Landsburg, January 1981 National Geographic. He talks about his story being close to the mountain, taking these 4 photos, and then unfortunately he lost his life. According to Robert Rogers, there was a hillside in front, or 2 hillsides in front of him, that almost kind of directed the surge towards his position. Had those not been shaped like that, Mr. Landsburg probably would have gotten his photos and been completely unscathed, which would have been very cool. But unfortunately, he was at the wrong place at the wrong time. And it's a shame because he actually parked his 69 Coronet facing away from the volcano, ready to leave. He positioned himself kind of southwest of the mountain. He knew that there was a chance that the landslide could happen, and took precautions to make sure that he would be okay. Unfortunately, he didn't foresee this pyroclastic surge coming out of super high energy, and then was standing at this one location, very, very narrow location, about a quarter mile, him and the Carr family who was camping just down the road from him. Okay. Well, we're going to leave this sit now for, like I said, about 12 hours. I hope you enjoyed this. It was a little bit of a different take, right? We're finally getting into the nitty gritty of it. What we're doing, we have started with a side mirror. On a side note, some of you may have noticed on my desk over here, my companion that's sitting here, anybody that's out there may recognize who this is, especially if you're into Egyptian mythology. And he's there because my guests that come in when we talk about the people that were affected by the Mount St. Helens eruption, and some of them lost their lives in this event, they keep calling me Anubis. And I recognize the figure from Egypt, and when I looked him up, it said that he was the keeper of the dead, kind of the guide. And I went, my guests are very smart. And I'm not talking about one or two people. This is probably 25, 30 people have said this to me. And so I went and I got a figure of Anubis. So I guess I am the keeper or the guide for these individuals that were affected by this eruption. Very humbling thing for somebody to say to you. I'm very, very honored and humbled to be associated with the protection of these people's memories. It's a very, very big responsibility. So I hope you enjoyed this little snapshot of going over items. I'll update and show you how this kind of looks as we go along. And I just figured I'd do this short video and throw it in between all the other stuff that we're have going on right now. And thank you very much. So you have a happy day, and thanks for joining me.